expressed serious concerns that the Commonwealth report on human rights and democracy didn't list Nigeria as a priority despite daily reports of violence, displacement, rising abductions for ransom, and poor democratic practices. Meanwhile, the Nigerian government has responded to the decision of the United States Senate, saying that Nigeria will get whatever it wants from the United States as there is an existing government-to-government agreement that sells weapons to the country. On the program today, we'll try to make sense of this diplomatic hurdle in Nigeria's fight against terrorists. What is the implication of the U.S. Senate decision on Nigeria, considering the many cases of terrorist attacks on vulnerable communities? What is the nexus between national security and human rights concerns? What options are available for Nigeria to boost this war against insurgents? Why did the United States enact a law that restricts sale of weapons to countries? Joining me on the program today is Dr. Bello Kazeem. Dr. Bello Kazeem is a member of Board of Trustees, NIDO Americas. Also joining us is another senior official of the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, NIDO, the former president of NIDO Americas, Indiana chapter, Anthony Adeleke, and these two men from the United States were joining me to review the situation and decision of the United States Senate stopping the U.S. government selling weapons to Nigeria despite the challenges Nigeria is facing as it comes to insurgency and a whole lot of security issues in the country. What's the nexus between human rights and, of course, and insecurity in the country? My guests will be joining me after the short break to look at this issue. Think it's an interesting one. Welcome to the program. Than ever before, every continent, color, race, language, and religion, even government, move towards common goals. We now live in a global village. Here on this program, we bring you global issues to shape our world.
Government can do a lot with tax revenues collected for health and education.
The role of the European Union is to accompany a partner, that is Nigeria, in offering our lessons learned to see whether together we can improve that situation.
The emphasis on education, on vocational training, on the development of entrepreneurship is absolutely critical to its democracy.
The Nigerian government, we ask them to follow up the investigations that we have had, the evidence that we have gathered, and ultimately we made a number of recommendations.
As we travel the world, we explore these issues of international and diplomatic relevance. Indeed, the global agenda that determine our national and common interests. With me, Tunde Alabi, live on AIT. The world has become more connected than ever before. Every continent, color, race, language, and religion, even government, move towards common goals. We now live in a global village. Here on this program, we bring you global issues to shape our world.
Government can do a lot with tax revenues collected for health and education.
The role of the European Union is to accompany a partner, that is Nigeria, in offering our lessons learned to see whether together we can improve that situation.
The emphasis on education, on vocational training, on the development of entrepreneurship is absolutely critical to its democracy.
The Nigerian government, we would ask them to follow up the investigations that we have had, the evidence that we have gathered, and ultimately we made a number of recommendations.
As we travel the world, we explore these issues of international and diplomatic relevance. Indeed, the global agenda that determine our national and common interests. With me, Tunde Alabi, live on AIT. Thank you for staying there and for being part of the program today. It's still Global Matters. On the show, we are reviewing the position of the United States of America, the position of the U.S. government as advised by the U.S. Senate to stop the sale of military weapons to Nigeria. Joining me on the program today, I have Dr. Bello Kazeem, a member of the Board of Trustees of the Nigerian Diaspora Organization, Americas, and of course, Anthony Adeleke, the former president of NIDO Americas Indiana chapter. Let me start with Dr. Kazeem. Dr. Kazeem, thank you for joining us on the program today. Quickly, take us through the decision. What in your assessment of what the U.S. Senate has done or has said, which the U.S. government is obligated to carry out, what necessitated this advice to the U.S. government? Of course, the U.S. Senate said they are based on the human rights records of the Buhari-led government and indeed anti-democratic actions of the government. But this is not the first time they will say that. What, in your decision, is actually happening in America?
Well, nothing is not. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you? Okay, very well. Thank you for having me on the program. Technically, nothing is happening unusual in America or elsewhere regarding this pronouncement from the Congress. We just have to understand precisely what are the dynamics that are playing out here. And then we need to also understand the functionality of the judiciary and the executive and the parliament. I mean, what you call the Congress in the United States. Now, let's understand the reason behind the pronouncement from the Congress. The issue relating to procurement and sales of arms and ammunition is actually the prerogative of the executive, meaning that it is the United States Office of the Presidency through the Defense Ministry that handles issue relating to that. Now, because of the interrelationship between the government in America, the Congress will not allow the executive arms to engage in a reckless, what I'll call a reckless or unethical sales of arms for political reasons. So this is why you are seeing that pronouncement from the Congress. Ordinarily, the Congress does not intervene in the sales of arms except for reasons that I've said earlier. If there's a political reason to believe that the executive should not act, the United States should not act in that direction. And let's after giving that background, let's go to why this actually happened. The reason why this happened is that, I mean, of course, the United States has probably been the largest country where Nigeria has been looking towards to procure ammunition, especially since the start of the war against Boko Haram. But and we are still having sales of contract, some of them being executed, some of them being considered or contrived new. So the reason why the Congress intervened in this case, again, is for political reason. There are a lot of Nigerians living in the United States. There are congressional men within their locality. So they've been talking to this congressman, and these congressmen have said they get briefing daily, they get briefing weekly on what is going on in their jurisdiction, especially those of them that are covering Nigeria. So they go back to their committees and report that the situation in Nigeria is very bad. So they are actually technically being fed with information that leads to the fact that Nigerian government is actually committing what they consider as humanitarian or human rights abuses. And I don't know, we can't go into details of that, but we all know that there's instances of several things going on in Nigeria, extrajudicial killings and stuff like that, Boko Haram issue, herdsmen issues, all this combined is what the Congress is looking at to say that the Nigerian government is not acting enough to protect the citizen rights, and this is why this decision was made.
So, but basically, from what you have just said, so we have Nigerians who are politically exposed in the United States. Nigerians are politically exposed in Nigeria, in the United States of America, who also talk to the elected member in the Congress, briefing them, giving them reports about happenings in Nigeria, if I get you right.
Yes, that's correct. As we speak, in fact, even myself, I was with the senator from my area just about 2 weeks ago, and they get grassroots information from some of us. We all go there, we talk about what is going on because they want to know firsthand, so that they can, because he belonged to the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House, and so he wanted to know more about Nigerians. They get information. So we have, imagine the whole 50 states in Nigeria, where we have congressmen and Nigerians talking to them individually. And so the collective effort of those discussion is what they take to the Congress, and that is why you see the Congress asking the U.S. government. They really did not stop. Don't forget that they did not stop the sales of the arms. They only tried to let the government know that they should slow down it until they clear issue on the human rights violation. If the president wants to sell arms to Nigeria, they can still sell arms to Nigeria by using executive order, by bypassing the Congress. But the president of the United States will listen to the president, to the Congress, because it's a human rights violation that is in question here.
Okay, let me go to Anthony, Mr. Adeleke. As you just heard from Dr. Kazeem there, so this is an issue of Nigerians in the United States lobbying their elected officials in the Congress, especially those on the Foreign Affairs Committee, to take certain actions against the Nigerian government or requests of the Nigerian government. What are other options that are open to other Nigerians in the United States to ensure that balance is reached when it comes to this kind of very serious life-threatening situation? Because we have Boko Haram is just claiming lives, and yet we have issues of human rights. Is there no way we can balance this issue? Mr. Adeleke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator and host. I'm very happy to hear that in certain situations, the arms of government can actually advise one another and keep each other in the know and in caution. To one another. I know that the U.S. government, as a beacon of democracy, is trying to make sure that the information and representation from the people, just like Dr. Kazeem mentioned now, is being considered when they are making certain decisions. And on the sales of firearms, we know there is always a monetary reason behind those. There are also foreign relations behind that, and also human, because most of these arms is not meant for hunting. It's mostly used in conflicts, and this needs carefulness. In the situation whereby people are observing that these ammunitions are not what people are observing in Nigeria is that some of the arms that's gone to the government is ending up in the wrong places, and it's being used for the wrong purposes, or it's not meeting up to the desired expectation to fight insurgency. So the people, through the Diaspora Network, are also trying to give a feedback, just like Dr. Bello said. And we want our government, because we love our country, Nigeria as well, to consider and look at this, even if there are things that they've not considered before, remembering that this government had a lot of goodwill when it came in a few years ago. So, and that goodwill, we don't want it to be eroded. There's goodwill in the Foreign Committee of Nations. There's goodwill amongst the diaspora. But right now, it doesn't seem that's the case anymore. So, those matters that's been raised, especially in terms of human rights violation, I think our government should look carefully into that and demonstrate that they are going to do the right thing, they are going to correct some mistakes, and they are going to put things in order in a way that that shows the respect for lives of people and concerns of everyone across the nation, across all the geopolitical zones. So this is part of the feedback coming from the general populace, because even the diasporans have families at home, and people are worried both at home and in the diaspora about how things happening, the kind of news that we are hearing, and this is the reason why there has been feedback from diasporans here in the US, and not just in the US, in the UK as well, and some other parts of the world, that the government of Nigeria should take a step back and try to show evidence that the fight against the insurgency is in the right direction, and it is not something that is being turned around to affect other segments of the nation. Because we see that some of these weapons are getting into the wrong hands and being used against other parts of the country. So let's carefully look into that and make corrections. Okay, that's the feedback we are getting.
Right, great. So basically, the U.S. Congress has not taken this decision in vague from nowhere. It is not the U.S. government being politically motivated by its own political interest in Nigeria. They are acting based on feedback from the Nigerians in the United States through their representatives in the Congress and in the Senate. Basically, that is the situation, not the government or the Senate, the Congress now acting arbitrarily. They are acting on information from Nigerians in the diaspora in the US, right?
Yeah, that is correct. It is both from the Nigerians in diaspora and people all over the world. The world is watching us. United States have their own intelligence reports all around the world. Whether those in diasporas tell them or not, they are doing their own research, and they have their own intelligence information, and they are looking at us. They know what is happening, whether we are saying it truthfully or not. So they are also, when they see these things happening, but sometimes they also want those concerned to voice their perspectives and their opinion. And you've been seeing protests all around the world that this is not right. What is going on in Nigeria right now doesn't seem to define the character of what we expect of such a nation that has a good stature as Nigeria in the global affairs. And it's a setback for us, which we think we should correct.
Indeed,
so all the things that will make us look good in terms of human rights, because the whole world is watching us. It's not just Nigerians back home that are shouting, or Nigerians in diaspora. People are even asking us what's going on in our countries based on all the happenings over the past few years.
Right. Okay. Let me turn to
just watching what's going on.
Let me turn to Dr. Kazeem. Dr. Kazeem, as it is now, I mean, when this news broke out, it's not the first time the United States of America will be placing this kind of temporary ban. It happened in the days of Barack Obama against President Goodluck Jonathan. And of course, members of the APC actually did claim that they mobilized the Barack Obama administration against selling arms to the Nigerian government. Now, this appears to have come back to haunt the same party and the same government through whom some people did carry such act in the Goodluck Jonathan days. But if we keep having Nigerians either in Nigeria, as it happened during Jonathan days when some members of the party APC lobbied Obama to stop the sale of arms to Nigeria when they knew we were fighting insurgency, and now we have Nigerians in the diaspora now lobbying the U.S. government to stop the sale of arms to Nigeria, and we have people dying at home. And now the U.S. government citing human rights and anti-democratic principle. Now, where does this leave Nigerians in Nigeria? Whose interest are we protecting in this matter? Are we protecting the interest of the people that are dying, or are we protecting the interest, our own interests? Where does this leave us, those of us in Nigeria?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. You really put the question in the right perspective. But again, let's go back to one thing. We need to understand again clearly that the functioning of the U.S. government is interrelated, and they listen to each other. Just like Honorable Adeleke said too, we cannot decimate their capacity in the ability of the United States government itself to generate independent, intelligent information. I mean, let me tell you something. I happened to speak with one of our congressmen a while ago too. I was amazed at the level of information he has in terms of the conflict of the insurgent conflict within the West Africa. He must have gotten those information from somewhere. So it is not necessarily that we cannot beat up Nigerians in diaspora as the people instigating this per se. Nigerians in diaspora are doing there. And then please let us not move away from the fact that they are not being patriotic. That's not the issue. The Nigerians, we cannot say that because they are bringing up vital issue that concerns them, that actually touches on their family back home and touches everybody back home, and we would then think that because of that they are not being patriotic. No, the concern is for the overall interest of Nigeria. And then I'll go back to say that Nigerian government may not have been managing the media communication process correctly, because if they are giving information to the Congress, if the information management system of Nigerian government is appropriate, there's no reason why the Congress cannot balance it like you said. They will be able to balance the information to say, oh, what these guys from Nigeria are telling us does not match what we are getting from the government or whatever. But when we are busy trying to ban global media that can easily project us out there in the right perspective, then what sort of information can the government get?
Or even making efforts to restrict what the local media are saying.
In the sales of arms, it is prerogative of the executive. But because the problem of the Congress, when they found out that sales is inimical to the interest of the United States. These are his one, the person are building terrorists. Number two, the government in case is a rogue government, what I mean by dictatorship or something like that, and they know that selling funds to that government will go into wrong hand. Number three, human rights violation is a big issue in the United States. Period. They don't take it lightly. So if Nigerians in diaspora are approaching their congressmen to say, look, these are evidence of human rights abuses, and like Hon Anthony Adeleke has said, some of this ammunition that have been sold to the Nigerian government has been found to be ended in the hand of insurgency people, and then they are using that to fight to kill the citizens. Those are evidences that are making the Congress to advise.
Dr. Kazeem,
the key word here is advise the United States government. They're not stopping the United States government. They cannot.
But
when they have put out advice with evidence, United States government will act. They are bound to act. Otherwise, they can take that to a higher level.
That is where democracy.
So the government will listen to them because again they work together.
Absolutely.
So don't let us beat up Nigerians in diaspora.
Absolutely
for
not.
Doing those human job.
All right.
Believe me, they have ultimate interest of the government in heart. They have ultimate interest of Nigerian people at heart, and the government should just find out how to manage their information system correctly and make sure that the right information gets into the hands of Nigerians, and so that you can go to the government and say, hey, this is
all right. Thank you, Dr. Kazeem. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Kazeem. I'm afraid this is how far we can go on the program. This is how far we can go on the program today because of our time. We'll come back to look at this issue. Is America itself not in breach? But thank you so much for joining us as we turn to our next program, as we go to our world news for news around the world. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tunde Labi. Stay out of trouble and happy weekend.